Welcome once again to the Food and Drink Business Podcast live stream of interviews being conducted on the exhibition floor with all the sights, sounds, and everything that goes with Food Pro 2023. These episodes are sponsored by TriMat Systems. Lindy Hughson, your turn in the hot seat once again.
Yes, Grant, I'm having a whale of a time. I'm walking around checking out all the packaging innovation and also stopping by some of the really great looking stands, one of which is Detpak's. Joining me is Mark Rohrlach. He is regional manager for Australasia and South Asia. I think I've got that right.
You have?
Great. Now, Mark, one of the things I was most excited to see on your stand is the new paper bag that you've done for potatoes for Mitolo family farms. Am I correct?
You are.
So tell us about that.
Well, so we worked with Mitolo for quite a period of time to get their form, fill and seal rewind into a paper-based solution. And what the end result of that is Australia's first curbside recyclable paper potato bag that was launched in Coles quite recently and exceeding their expectations. So it really is doing great things for them in Coles at the moment.
So if you hold that bag up a little higher, I just want to show everybody to demonstrate.
Sorry about the crinkles, because it's paper, not
it's
plastic.
Paper. Yeah. Okay, so you can put that.
That's the paper crinkle.
What is so impressive about it is the print quality that you're able to achieve on that bag as well.
Absolutely. So we have full printing capabilities with all of our paper rewind.
Mm-hmm.
We can pretty much replicate whatever the customers are looking for and give the same sort of result that they're getting in their existing poly form, fill and seal their lines.
So one of the factors when I did the interviews around writing the story was the thing that made it harder to develop the bag or in a short space of time was that you had to develop it for high-speed production.
Correct. And look, the reason it took quite a while, and look, it was well over 2 years to actually, from the concept to actually making this onto the shelves, is all of the equipment is created for poly packaging. So trying to take paper through a machine that's built for plastic flexibility is really a challenge. So getting it through at a very slow pace wasn't too difficult. Getting it through at an efficient pace, where they actually need to be and where they're currently running, that's where probably the tweaks came into it. So we learned a lot with Mitolo over the last couple of years and know what adjustments we need to make, and really can now in a position where we can replace pretty much most poly packaging with paper-based solutions.
Now, there seems to be a huge appetite from the fresh produce sector for paper-based solutions, of which there are many on display on your stand. Can you tell me a little bit about the rise in demand?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, look, with the APCO guidelines, the way they are and the time frames that are fast approaching us, being the 2025 guidelines, there are a lot more growers and food companies alike really looking for paper or board-based solutions. That's started. A lot of that came out of Woolworths have driven this a lot through. They've got a project in their Double Bay store at the moment.
I've been to that store. It's amazing.
It is, where they really took the initiative and came out with the brief that they wanted to strip as much, if not all, plastic out of their fruit and veg section. So a lot of the concepts you're seeing were somewhat born out of that initiative. And again, it wasn't overly difficult to actually replace the packaging, but where the nuances come in is really getting them onto high-speed filling lines, because again, poly and paper perform completely differently, require a lot more probably different techniques into actually making them run efficiently.
So I did notice that some of the punnet type packs do still have a PET window.
Yes.
But the percentages, is that low enough still for you to claim recyclable?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, and that does change on the 1st of December with the new guidelines that are coming through. But the solutions that you're seeing are currently curbside recyclable, and we're in the process of evolving those products again, to make them, put them onto fast filling lines, but also keep them within those ratios that'll still get curbside recyclability.
Now, some of the barrier laminate layers those are your technology called Recycle Me.
That's it. Well done.
Okay. So will you tell us about Recycle Me?
Sure. So where Recycle Me came from at the time was you'll find that most recyclers wouldn't accept any sort of poly-based packaging purely through the normal pulping process, because when it went through the pulping process, it would all clump together and it would block the sieves, and effectively it would make the pulp itself useless. So where Recycle Me challenged that paradigm is there is an additional additive in our poly, and what happens is that gives us a 97% fibre recovery, effectively a separation when it goes through the pulping process. But it also breaks apart and sinks to the bottom. And what that enabled it to do was effectively just be cleared out with any sort of foreign object like staples and things like that. So it didn't change their process at all. And they actually welcomed that because it gave them high quality paper fibre coming back through the recycling process. So that's where Recycle Me came from. It is evolving now.
Yeah, I heard so.
It's evolving. So we've now got it in all sorts of different product formats. So you would have seen we've got San Remo noodle cups sitting up there. We've got the potato bags. We've also got grape bags in there, which are all using the same technology. That technology will evolve as the APCO guidelines also evolve to make sure the curbside recyclability isn't lost, and also starting to give us more barriers into things like a polypropylene equivalent that'll enable a bit of air and oil resistance as well.
So Detpak has been, you're constantly developing new barriers or options for companies like, for example, sugar packaging, that sort of thing. So where do you see this all going? Will we ever be at a point where we don't need any kind of plastic layer?
Or I think, I'm not sure. I would love to see that. Not sure if it's possible at the moment, and purely because paper and board are fibrous products. And if you think about, so going back many years ago, all food packaging was in paper and board. But then you came to the food waste period of where we became really conscious and increasing shelf life. And that's how the polys and the plastics came into supermarket shelves. Changing that paradigm is going to be very, very difficult to do. So we can pretty much house anything and create a package for it. Whether we can get the same shelf life is the trick. And it's going to be a long time before we get down that far. There are papers out there that claim to be plastic free that'll give those sort of barriers. But generally we're seeing that there is something in the pulp that would replace the plastic and do the same thing and wouldn't pass our current recyclability standards. So I'm not sure we'll get plastic free. We're going to come very close to it, and we're going to push that paradigm as much as we can.
Well, I did see some at Detpak recently. There were some people with paper-based solutions in the fresh produce space, but saying almost plastic. They weren't trying to claim it. They just said almost plastic-free. So that's good. So just to come to the conclusion here, Mark, what are your expectations from FoodPro?
From FoodPro, look, it's very much like we've already spoken about. We know that APCO targets and guidelines are fast approaching, and most suppliers that we're working with aren't ready yet. So we're doing our very best to network with some of those suppliers, help them along that journey, and come up with sustainable packaging options using both our current technologies and also inventing technologies to assist those customers.
Okay, well, I hope the show goes really well for you. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thanks, Lindy.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Lindy. And of course, thanks to those who have tuned in to this food and drink business interview conducted live on the exhibition floor at FoodPro 2023. We'll be back shortly with another informative discussion sponsored by TriMat Systems, who have asked me to say this little message for you. Are you looking to reduce labour processes, resulting in a boost in your profits? TriMat Systems offer automation solutions that will take your productivity to the next level. Contact them today at trimat.com.